This is a 2020 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, the all-new 2020 Hyundai Sonata. And I have to pick up the pace because I have so many things to say about this car. It is undoubtedly one of the best of its kind, one of the best hybrid cars you can buy on a number of levels. And I'll try and touch on as many as possible in the next few minutes. It is, though, probably one of the best arguments, if not the best argument, against plug-in hybrid vehicles, cars. This thing is spacious, extremely efficient, and depending on what country you live in, unbelievably affordable. So if you're talking about bang for the buck, efficiency for the buck, this thing is almost impossible to beat. What do I mean about country? Well, if you live in Canada, fortunately, unfortunately, it only comes in one trim, Ultimate, and it retails for $40,099. Obviously, you get a load of stuff for that kind of money. Now, the short/long of it is LED lights all around, 17-inch wheels, leather seats, heated front and back, cooled in the front, heated steering wheel, 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, 10.25-inch touch screen on the interior, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, heads-up display, wireless charger, Bose audio, and on and on and on. Now, if you live in the US, you can have access to this car's efficiency and, well, quote-unquote performance for only $27,750. Beat that plug-in hybrid, any of them. That's for the blue trim, I should say. There's also an SEL, and if you want to compare to the Ultimate, well, you're looking at a Limited in the US for $35,300, even at that price. All right, moving right along. Styling. Problem with Hyundais is that every time they redesign a car for a new generation, they completely reinvent the car, making the previous generation look so dated. I mean, it's got to be part of their strategy where they want to force people who drive the previous generation car to buy a new one. But this time, in some respects, they kind of went a little overboard. I mean, the styling in the front is okay, but it's this weird line that kind of leaves the headlights and goes wraps itself around the greenhouse that somehow annoys me, and I just can't get used to it. And there are creases everywhere. Look, you can see all the shadows, the creases, the lines. It's so busy. While I work my way to the back. Now, here's one thing a few people have already asked me about, and that's the solar panel glass roof. Now, it's not a sunroof, it's actually a solar panel that, according to Hyundai, will give you up to 1,300 free kilometers of range. That's 700 miles, my friend. So what it does is it just captures solar light, solar energy, converts it into little electrons, and recharges your 12-volt system and the hybrid's battery as it stands, as it sits. It's not really sunny right now, but it's probably doing its job right now. All right, so just to end on styling. The sloping roof kind of ends up right there where that spoiler, integrated rear spoiler, just kind of shoots out from the trunk lid. I think that's really cool. It looks quite nice, but overall excessively busy design from the rear. I didn't like the line across the bottom there that connects the two taillights, but hey, whatever, it works. Okay, so much more to say. Here's a weird one. Okay, so I locked the doors, and I'm gonna walk close to the car. How you doing? Hey, look at you. We know each other. Did you see that? You didn't see my foot, right? I didn't kick, but the trunk opened up on its own while I'm here. Okay, so this is 453 liters of volume, or 16 cubic feet. The opening is really wide. I like that, and it's quite deep. That works very well. Okay, so you saw that, right? It recognized me and even opened up. But as I walk towards the front door, it's wondering who the hell I am. And here's another weird thing, right? It's not a keyless. It's a keyless access, but it doesn't recognize my hand's position like a lot of regular cars do. I have to actually press the button to unlock the car, which I find annoying and so counter to what the rear end does. It's weird. I'm skipping the back. All right, so this car, I don't know if you saw or recognized how long the Sonata is nowadays, but it's enormous. I mean, the wheelbase is about a mile. Anyway, it's a big car compared to the previous generation Sonatas, which translates into a lot of rear space. Obviously, I'm using it as the family mobile this week. You can see there's a fair distance between the seat and my seat back, and that's my driving position. Width-wise, between the two seats, you will not squeeze another human being, but there is loads of room. It's actually a two-position rear heated seats. Now you're kind of seeing a little bit there of the fit and finish, and that's one thing that Hyundai's, they've taken it to the next level. The materials are lovely. Everything lines up beautifully. The contrast stitching, see the continuation in design. It's very much like the exterior, but so much more elegant and not as busy. Your Bose audio. Seats are actually huge, these seats, but fairly comfortable as well. And look, just a quick glance on the inside. It's difficult without... Okay, let's just get in and I'll show you what I'm trying to tell you. You'll start her up. There's your 12.3 inch IP. And there's your 10 1/4 display, which is actually oops. What have I done? Actually curved on the end right there. It is beautiful, fairly responsive, or actually, I shouldn't say fairly. It is quite responsive. The controls down here are lovely. There's your heated steering wheel. This is how your heated seats and cooled seats work. It's beautiful. Look, you can see like the little notches in the controls. You can actually see that too, like in the wiper stock that I just accidentally hit. And piano black finish on the inside. If you would have told me that this is what a Genesis was going to look like a few years ago, I would have believed it. While I'm here, visibility is great. The A-pillars are fairly slim, so when you're making that left-hand turn, you can easily see where you're going. Lovely greenhouse. So you get a better idea of the size of the A-pillar right there. Storage is good. Door bins are small, but over here, fantastic. Loads of room. Cup holders. This bin is a good size as well. Here are your drive modes. All week, I've been pretty much in Eco the whole time. Well, actually, here they go. So, Eco, Smart I've used a couple times. I haven't tried Sport yet. I should probably not admit that. And I haven't even set up custom because Eco's been doing such a good job. And as you can see, the IP changes when you select your drive modes. Final word here. At one point, this type of transmission selector, whatever thing, annoyed me. But compared to a rotary wheel, this is so much better. All right, I think I'm forgetting about 90% of all the stuff I wanted to say. And I've still gone way over the amount of time I wanted to use. And I haven't talked about the drive yet, so I shouldn't have stepped out of the car at all. Let's just get right back in there and go for a drive. All right, so driving a Sonata Hybrid so far this week has been a voyage of discovering how efficient, smart, and well-sorted this car actually is. Once again, I have so many things to say, and I'm try and get it all out in an intelligent way. But if I start with one of my earlier comments about this car being proof positive that a plug-in hybrid cannot be as efficient in the real world as this car. Look, I'm driving this as I normally would drive almost any other car. My driving is mixed about 50-50, give or take, between highway and city. And I am averaging an easy 5 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 47 miles per gallon. And if I was a little bit smarter, making an effort to be a little bit more, nicer with the throttle, I could be averaging 4.5, 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. We're edging towards 50 miles per gallon. This thing does have a 1.62 kilowatt battery, which will give you enough juice to drive maybe on a couple kilometers on pure electric mode, but as speeds increase and loads increase, well, you'll jump onto the petrol engine quickly enough. But the assistance clearly is perfectly measured in eco mode anyway, because that's what I've been doing. And the power, in fact, which at first I thought might be borderline, not quite enough, I'm in eco mode, is more than adequate. Surprisingly more than adequate. I mean, the numbers are 192 horsepower for the 2-liter and the 38 kilowatt electric motor. A peak torque is 271 pound-feet, but that doesn't really give you a real idea of how much torque this thing has. So the acceleration is good. The fuel economy is good. I mean, this car weighs 3,500 pounds, and if you take into consideration that most plug-in hybrids with the larger batteries and the onboard chargers and all that stuff will add between 300 and 500 pounds for about 30 kilometers of range, you're not going to average better in the real world again than what you can do in this car. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And then, this thing happens to be extremely quiet, unbelievably smooth, very refined. I mean, more so than the Escape Hybrid I drove last week, which I thought was incredible on all those levels. I mean, maybe the ride quality in this car is a little bit harsher than the Escape, if only by a 1/4 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, 5 millimeters, I don't know. But generally speaking, this is a place of zen. It is a place of smart motoring, 47 miles per gallon without trying, with a little effort, slight hypermiling, 50 miles per gallon. That's 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. I'm completely blown away by this car. Oh, and well, see, when you yank on the steering wheel, it steers. When you're leaning into an off-ramp, you don't end up in the woods or on the roof. A few bumps soaked up, no big problem. Yes, big 18-wheeler right there, big 18-wheeler right there. On the throttle, in eco mode again, and you're gone. Brakes feel great. Really, there is nothing concretely negative or wrong with this car, unless I bring up the fact that it's not available with all-wheel drive, but then most hybrids are not, with a handful of exceptions, essentially limited to the Prius. If you're looking at cars and not SUVs, of course. For the price, even in Canada, $40,000, it is only slightly cheaper than an Ioniq electric and a Kona EV. But you don't get this amount of space, you don't get this amount of equipment, unless you go for a far more expensive model, and then you're closing in on $50K, so there's a considerable price gap there. All this to say is that I really like this. Now, the final question, this or a Camry hybrid? I gotta lean for the Camry, if only because I know in the long run, it'll deliver on all points that it delivers when new. Like this, when new. In time, always difficult. And to be perfectly honest, I still prefer Toyota's TNGA platform, which allows the suspension to give you a little bit more of a comfort zone. But otherwise, this car is phenomenal. If you live in the US and you want fuel economy and space, $27,750, it's almost a no-brainer.